Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to dive deep into the world of the military police. Now, you've probably seen them on any military base, right? But their role is often way more complex than you'd think. And a lot of that confusion actually starts with something super simple, their name. So let's break it all down. So, let me ask you this. What's the difference between military police and air police? I mean, at first glance, you might think, oh, they're probably just different names for the same gig. But surprise, they're not. In reality, these are what we call false friends. Words that look or sound alike but mean something completely different. Okay, so here's the deal. It's actually pretty simple. Military police, that's the people, right? The actual personnel who handle law enforcement in the military. But air police, well, that's not a person at all. It's a mission. Think about those NATO air policing missions you hear about over places like the Baltics. That's all about fighter jets securing the skies, not officers checking IDs at a gate. So here's the big takeaway. The right term for the people is always, always military police. Doesn't matter what branch they're in. All right, to really see this in action, let's zoom in on a specific branch. If you look at the U.S. Air Force, for instance, their military police go by a different name. They're called security forces. And their whole identity is wrapped up in this really cool, really powerful Latin motto, Defensor Fortes. And believe me, the scope of their job is huge. I mean, get this, security forces is actually the largest career field in the entire Air Force. That's massive. Their duties run the whole gamut, from something super strategic like guarding missile silos, all the way to the tactical stuff, like defending air bases on the front lines. And on top of that, they're also doing the on-base law enforcement, they're handling combat arms training, and they even team up with military working dogs. It's all about one thing, protecting their fellow airmen no matter where they are in the world. So that motto, Defensor Fortis, what does it mean? It translates to defenders of the force. And this is so much more than just a catchy slogan. It is the absolute core of who they are. You'll see it proudly displayed on the emblem of their famous blue beret, which, by the way, has been an official part of their uniform since way back in 1976. It's a huge symbol of honor. So, on a typical day, what does their job look like? Well, you can think of it as being a lot like civilian policing. Every Air Force base is basically a small city, and it needs its own police force. So these security forces specialists, they're the ones responding to emergencies, directing traffic, investigating crimes right there on the base. Keeping everything safe and in order 24/7. Now, one of the coolest and most unique jobs within security forces has got to be the military working dog handler. This is all about the incredible bond, the partnership between a human handler and their canine partner. They're not just a person with a dog. They are a highly specialized team. And this team is an absolutely critical asset for defending the base, trained to sniff out everything from hidden explosives to illegal drugs. It's an amazing partnership. Okay, so we've covered a ton about who these folks are. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of what they do at, say, the front gate, let's do a quick knowledge check. I want to make sure one key fact really sticks. All right, here we go. Which of the following is true? Is it A, security forces is an easy career, B, security forces employ the most personnel, or C, they're responsible for firefighting? Go ahead, take a second and lock in your answer. And the correct answer is B. That's right. Security forces is the single largest career field in the Air Force. And that just goes to show you how incredibly vital their mission is, protecting all those people and all that equipment. Okay, so now that we know who the military police are, let's talk about where you're most likely to see them in action. We're heading to the very first line of defense for any military base, the entry control point. Now, an ECP, or entry control point, is way more than just a gate with a guard. It's a whole system. To handle all the traffic and security, bases have different kinds. You've got your main ECP, which is where most people go. Then there's an alternate ECP, maybe for overflow during busy times. They can even set up random ECPs when needed. Oh, and here's a key thing. Don't mix these up with a crash gate. That's something totally different. It's a special exit just for emergency vehicles, so they can get out fast when they need to. So if you're trying to get onto a base, what do you need? Well, you've got to have your paperwork in order. The guards are going to need to see a few things to make sure you are who you say you are and that you're actually allowed to be there. We're talking your military ID or passport, of course, but also stuff for your car, like a parking permit, the vehicle registration, and your proof of insurance. The whole interaction is super professional, very direct. You'll pull up and the guard will greet you something like, "Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to the base." Then they'll ask, "May I see your military ID card, please?" They might also glance at your dashboard for your parking permit. It's a quick, efficient routine, but it's all built on one foundational principle: making absolutely sure that every single person on that base belongs there.
But what happens when security needs to be stepped up a notch? Well, that brings us to something you might encounter: the random vehicle search. And it's important to know, this isn't because they suspect you of anything. It's just a routine, totally unpredictable layer of security to keep everyone safe. So if your number comes up and you're selected for a search, the instructions are going to be really clear, and they're all about safety. They'll ask you to turn off your engine and step out of the car. Then you'll basically open up everything for them: all the doors, the hood, the trunk, even compartments inside like the glove box. This just allows the guard to do a quick but thorough visual check. And this is where things can get interesting, especially in international settings. The guard will systematically ask you to open different parts of the car. And, what an American calls the hood, a Brit calls a bonnet. The trunk, that's the boot. Even inside, you've got the dashboard and the glove compartment. Knowing the right words, no matter where you are, is actually super important. It just makes the whole process smoother, safer, and faster for everybody. So all these procedures, the ID checks, the random searches, it makes you wonder, right? Why all this security? Well, it's not arbitrary. Everything they do is dictated by the overall threat level at that moment. And that level is controlled by a really important standardized system of alert states. That system has a name. It's called FPCON. That stands for Force Protection Condition. And really, all it is a way for the entire Department of Defense to be on the same page about security. It's a progressive system, and the level is based on the current threat. In fact, when you drive onto any base, you'll see a big sign telling you exactly what the FPCON level is for that day. And the system is designed to escalate step by step. Think of it like a ladder. At the bottom, you have FPCON normal. That means everything's quiet, no specific threat. One step up is alpha, for a general, non-specific threat. Then you get to Bravo, where the threat is a bit more predictable, so you might see more ID checks. Things get serious at Charlie. That means the threat is imminent, and security gets way tighter. And at the very top is Delta. That means an attack is either happening right now or just happened, and the base goes into total lockdown. Each step up that ladder means more security measures and a whole lot more responsibility for the military police. Which, brings us to a final thought to leave you with. We've looked at all these little details, right? From a simple ID check at a gate all the way up to these complex FPCON levels. But think about this. How does that daily, seemingly routine job of one single security forces specialist, how does that fit into the grand scheme of a nation's entire defense strategy? It's a pretty powerful idea, isn't it? It reminds us that sometimes national security really does begin with just one person, standing guard, being that first crucial line of defense. Thanks so much for joining me today.